Yeah.
So you mentioned Section 21. Why do you think landlords use Section 21? Because I agree with you in the sense that why would you use it? Why do you think it's so heavily used by landlords?
Because lawyers are frightened to use the fault eviction.
Yeah.
They've got this idea that if you evict for the real reason, which is most of the time non-payment of rent,
Yes.
people go on about antisocial tenants, but my experience has been every antisocial tenant also doesn't pay the rent. So we're evicting them really for antisocial behaviour. I'll tolerate a bit of non-payment of rent, people run into difficulties, go through a bad patch. So I accept a level of rent arrears. It's where they stop paying and willfully refuse to stop paying, because we've got this wonderful system in this country called universal credit. If you can't afford to pay the rent, the state will pay. So there's no reason why you don't pay the rent. It's at my level. I don't know where other situations. So you go to a lawyer, they'll go, well, they could come up with disrepair if I try to evict for rent arrears. Because if I was defending clients, I'd say you're not paying the rent for disrepair. But it never actually materializes. I've evicted over 350 tenants, probably near 400 now, through the courts. I've a lot more I've asked politely to go, and they've gone. So that's a lot of tenants. But you remember, I've been doing this 32 years. I've housed probably over 20,000 tenants in that period of time. So there's a lot of tenants. I'm in and out of court probably once a week to evict tenants. And it's a system that's bureaucratic, it's slow, but it works. But lawyers will go, no, use Section 21. Or what's going to happen if Section 21 is going? So for those landlords who are worried about the loss of Section 21, you're going to have to start using fault reason, which is the reason you are evicting the tenant. And the real reason why tenants are being evicted will come to light, which is not because landlords want their houses back and all the rest of it. It is non-payment of rent.
It's a broken system, so the Section 21 is an easier route to get the property back.
Yeah, I don't think it is, because you've got to give 2 months notice.
It's easier than a Section 8.
No, it's easier to do Section 8, in my opinion. And I've done it.
We tend to go the Section 21 route.
You do. But that's because you're used to using it. But if you used Section 8, as soon as you don't pay the rent, you give 2 weeks notice. You're in court within 6 or 8 weeks. You're still waiting for the 2 months notice to expire on the Section 21. How long does it take you to, once the 2 months is expired, which is usually about 3 months because it has to end on the month and all the rest of it, does it take you to actually get your possession order?
Well, if we've got a problematic tenant, they drag it out for months. It's quite rare. I mean, we try and be quite fussy about who we put in the first place. We're careful with the vetting. It doesn't mean that it's a perfect system. There'll always be people that slip through, and sometimes people's circumstances change. But what we try and do is work with a tenant when there's a challenge, and help them to move on, in the sense that, you know, in some cases we've even incentivized them to move on, because it's cheaper for us to do that than it is to drag it out through the court for months and months.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, we'll do a small claims court as well, separately for the debt. So it applies additional pressure. If there's a guarantor, we'll be all over the guarantor as well. So we try and use multiple routes just to try and get the property back quickly. If someone's not paying, you know, as you said, we want the property back and have it relet.
Chop it up, I mean, the easiest way is just to say, please leave, forget what you owe us, go and rip off someone else, which is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. That's the way the system is. The way the system works, and then the government's concerned about why there's a lack of accommodation and landlords are not picking up this slack. But they're not. The government's not incentivizing, encouraging landlords to be landlords. In fact, they're de-incentivizing them.
Correct.
And I don't know who's going to pick up the mess with all the shortage of accommodation.